Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to my movie review. And today, and now, of course, I'm going to talk about Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, which is a sequel to live-action science fiction action film based on a toy line with the same name, and 2007 Transformers, which I have two disc special edition right here. It's a sequel to Transformers 2007, and this is actually one of my favorite sequels. It's actually the third favorite in the Transformer franchise, in my opinion. And I always thought that Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen was very underrated, a solid sequel, but underrated. This movie was critically panned by critics, which they consider this inferior to the original, and they panned down, they mowed down this movie. They thought the for nonsensical plot, crude humor, dialogue, offensive racial stereotypes, characters, and runtime, considered to be inferior to the first film, which I actually do understand why it kind of got bad critics, because this movie also won three Raspberry Awards. Actually three Razzie Awards, not Raspberry, three Razzie Awards. It won three Razzie Awards, and they consider this a bad film, but I disagree. I always thought that Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen was a really good movie on its own, and it's definitely, I never understood the hate. Like the first three movies are easy. I understand. I can get into it. And Revenge of the Fallen, I really enjoy. Since ever I saw, I enjoy this film. I have two disc special edition. Just the back. And yes, I like Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I love the first one to death, and I like this one. I like this movie. I forgot to mention the music score by Steve Jablonsky. I liked it. I actually more mentioned the first review was more the soundtracks that were used. In this movie, they actually used Linkin Park Return from the first movie with new song, which was titled New Divine or New Divine. More New Divine, and of course I love the song by Green Day, 21 Guns. I enjoyed that song. The cast from the first movie, all the cast that were actually famous in the first movie did not return. John Voight did not return as John Keller, as Secretary of Defense. He did not return. He actually did not return in this movie. Rachel Taylor, Anthony Anderson, Amorino Lasco, and Samantha Smith and Travis Van Winkle, they did not return for this movie, but Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, they did return. This is actually the final movie of Megan Fox, but I'll get into it more later. But Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf, they both return, reprise their roles back. Josh Duhamel also returns. Tyrese Gibson from Too Fast, Too Furious and Fast and Furious franchise, he also returns in this movie. Kevin Dunn and Judy White, who are actually parents of Sam Witwicky, also return in this movie, which is awesome. The voice, Peter Cullen from the first movie as voice of Optimus Prime returns, and also Hugo Weaving as Megatron returns in this movie, which is awesome. Which I really enjoyed it. But yeah, the Michael Bay also returns as director. He directed the sequel, which is awesome. And also Steven Spielberg also came on board as executive producer. And this one was written by Aaron Kruger with Robert Orci and Alex Kurtzman, which they all three wrote a screenplay for this movie. And the movie was based on a toy line, Hasbro, the Autobots. And this time Hasbro was more involved in this movie than the first one for the robots. For the design and the colors, robots. General Motors making more bright colors this time. And to me, the action sequences, the effects still work. Even though the movie has a sense of humor, it never bothered me. My only problem with the film is it was 2.5 hours, way too long, but the rest I enjoy. It's a very good movie. It's a decent movie, much better than the fourth one in my opinion. Age of Extinction, which I've watched it, I would definitely say this is better than Age of Extinction. Even the last two movies that they came out, I would still watch rather this movie than those two movies that the last two movies I don't even own, But that's just me. Revenge of the Fallen I always have enjoyed. I understood the plot, what it's about. The plot, since 2 years, the Autobots are staying in this planet. They're fighting the battle. They're now allies with the humans. With US, I think was with US Army Special Forces and allies. They're actually fighting the Decepticons on Shanghai. They're hunting down the last Decepticons because Autobots are staying in this planet. This is their home. In the meantime, the Decepticons are actually now, somehow resurrected from the dead. Megatron wants to, the Decepticons and Megatron, they deactivate a machine, called energy swords, which they want to destroy sun and all life on Earth with their actually leader, their real leader, the Fallen. It was actually the real leader, the Fallen. Sadly, he's not in his back, but they actually want to go and to resurrect the Fallen. The Fallen will actually they will activate the machine which will destroy their sun, and all life on Earth will perish, will die. And the Autobots know they have to fight. But now our leaders, they're blaming Autobots for their war, and they don't believe them. So they once again, Autobots needs help from Sam Witwicky. Sam Witwicky now he enjoys his life. Bumblebee is still his guardian. He goes now to college. He moves out of the house. He goes to college the first day. He's still seeing his girlfriend, Michaela, played by Megan Fox. I'm still surprised. Did Megan Fox character, did she graduate from school, because she's now working with a shop. You also see her dad, she works in a mechanic shop. She's still seeing Sam, Sam goes to college. She doesn't. Maybe she graduate high school. Maybe she drop out, but she still works, in the shop. She's more hot than the first movie. She's way hot and sexy than the first movie she was. And of course, so now when Sam Witwicky shows up on a campus, in the college, in the high school, actually in the college, in the Princeton, he also meets a new roommate, and was of course Leo Spitz. He was new roommate, played by Ramon Rodriguez. That's Leo Spitz, his new roommate. He's kind of geek, but they don't get along. And yeah, of course, they actually don't get along. In meantime, when Sam finds a fragment of the cube from the first movie, he also gets just like his grandfather Archibald Witwicky, those symbols, they get attached in his head, and he keeps writing a symbols. And he keeps writing a symbols, and he doesn't know what the hell are meaning. And because Megatron finds this out with Decepticons, they find out that Sam Witwicky holds the last key, of the puzzle for those which is actually a map, where they can find the Fallen and activate the machine, so he can deactivate the machine of energy swords. so they can destroy the sun, in our planet. Sam once again is now actually dragged into the war between Autobots and Decepticons, and he has no choice. He becomes a fugitive. So now Megatron has enough by hiding. So he goes and gives a warning to the people to find Sam Witwicky, or they're gonna destroy this world if they don't. So now Sam once again becomes a fugitive with Michaela, and of course his roommate Leo. There's also this girl Alice, which is another college student. She gets attractive to Sam, but we actually find out she's a robot. Just like in Terminator, she's a robot, and she sees everything that Sam does. Those are actually the symbols that he's drawing, the symbols, and he becomes more intelligent. He has like outbursts during the first class, and he wrote all the symbols in the whole room, and she goes and starts sexually harassing him, while Michaela, flies. She captures one of the Decepticons, the robots, and she flies, to I think was to Pennsylvania. She travels there, and she sees Sam with the other girl. She leaves him, but it turns out that this is actually a Terminator. I'm just calling it a Terminator, robot Terminator. Alice is a robot Terminator. She tries to terminate Sam, but Michaela and Sam fights her, and just like in Terminator 2, Sam with Leo and Michaela are now on the run, and Alice is a female cyborg robot that is chasing them, and I like that scene. I like the action sequence. And now since Sam becomes a fugitive, when Megatron, captures Sam, and he tries to kill him, Autobots save his life, but during the fight between Megatron and Optimus Prime gets killed in this movie. He also gets killed, and I think was also that key energy source that the Decepticons used to resurrect Megatron. And now Optimus Prime is killed, and Sam is very pissed, but he has to figure out how to fight this, So Leo knows a guy named Robo Warrior in New York, which they fly to New York, in which this guy Robo Warrior can help him, to figure it out what this is, what are those symbols. And of course, it turns out that Robo Warrior is no one but is actually the meat shop butcher, and that's Agent Seymour Simmons, a former NSA US NSA agent, Sector 7, because he lost his job, and of course Sam asked him for help. He said, "I need your help." He said, "I lost my job. I lost." Simon says, "I lost my job. They shut down Sector 7, and you need my help." I love that. And yes, they go to log the files, and once again, Agent Simmons, which is better than the first movie, because the first movie he was enemy to Sam. In this movie, he's his ally. He decides to help him out, So they actually go to this museum. I wrote down to Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, which they actually found a former Decepticon, now turned Autobot, and that's Jetfire, Autobot seeker named Jetfire, who tells them that Optimus Prime is the only one that can stop the Fallen. He's the only one that can stop the Fallen. So he goes and teleports them to Egypt. Yes, he teleports them to Egypt. My notes are falling down. He teleports them to Egypt, and that's where Sam figures out he can he can resurrect Optimus Prime with a key. He has to find that key, and that's the way he can do it. Is actually in Egypt. So they call William Lennox, U.S. Army Special Forces, to help them to fight this war in Egypt. In the meantime, this guy is shutting them down. This guy, who works for the president, trying to find this guy. Theodore Calloway, National Security Advisor, he tries to shut down Captain Lennox and his men in this mission. So just like in Delta Force 2, they go in the airplane, they throw him out of the airplane, and then now they go on revenge. They go on their mission to stop. They actually retrieve Optimus Prime, and they fly them to Egypt, in which they land them. They jump off the plane with Optimus Prime, on Egypt, and they are standing the ground, and fight against the Decepticons, while Sam and his friends are trying to get this key, to retrieve this key, to find the original Sentinel, the Fallen, the original Decepticon Sentinel, and find that key, and enjoy that. And during the battle scenes, on the final scene in Jordan, in Egypt, they actually go, Sam finds the key, but the key also turns into dust, and while he tries to somehow save Optimus Prime, during the battle scene, he gets hit, but he finds, ancestors of Transformers who bring them to life, and they give them the key, in which he opens, he wakes up, finds the key, activates the key, saves once again, resurrect Optimus Prime. In meantime, Agent Simmons, he goes and he climbs the pyramids, and he calls, the ship, the U.S. Air Force ship, or how you call it, the ship, in which the ship goes and fires on the evil robot, the rockets. They fire with the missiles, and they hit the bad guy, the bad robot. The fight scenes were awesome, and of course, like I said, while the Fallen, he tries to go in the pyramid, and he tries to activate this machine energy source to destroy the sun. Optimus Prime gets resurrected by Sam. He goes in action and goes and kicks the guy's butt. He kicks his ass, says, I rise, you fall, and kills the motherfucker. And of course, because the Decepticons, they lose the battle, Megatron warns he will return, and one of his men says, I'm not saying you're a coward, but even cowards have to live, so they live, And once again, the planet is saved, and I love that Optimus Prime, who was killed, gets resurrected this movie. I actually really do love that. So yeah, the movie then ends, in which, like I said, I also forgot the parents of Judy White and Kevin Dunn, who are the parents of Sam Witwicky, are also captured by Transformers, and they're also as hostages. They actually fly to Egypt. And I love how Kevin Dunn acts better than the first movie. He says, "You're my son. I'm not gonna leave you," and he cares about his son. He shows that he's a great father, in my opinion, and people don't see that. But I really enjoyed the film, I really liked the film. Sam Witwicky, played by Shia LaBeouf, he did awesome. Yesterday, I forgot to mention, it was Eagle Eye who did that movie, and also Disturbia, which I'm planning to review both of them for Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf did an excellent performance. Too bad he had a trouble later, with drugs, and he wasn't then anymore in the franchise, but he did a fantastic job as Sam Witwicky. I love the guy. I enjoy Sam Witwicky in this movie. He's a hero in this movie. In the first movie, he saved and destroyed Megatron. This movie, he went and he saved Optimus Prime. He resurrected it with energy source, that key that he resurrected, Optimus Prime, the back of Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and of course, Captain Lennox, which he returned, and Sam, and of course, this girl, they both run, Michaela, they both run. That's my favorite scene, when Michaela and Sam are running, a stuntmen with explosions. They did a really good job, the explosions, they actually really good. They did a really good job, but that's my favorite scene. It will definitely be when Sam and Michaela are running, while there's tons of explosions behind them. I mean, Michael Bay did a fantastic job. Shia LaBeouf he actually had a car accident, and Michael Bay wanted to have this accident in the movie, but I think the writer, I think was Steven Spielberg or Aaron Kruger, one of the writers, said no. They actually said they're not. They actually, when you see Sam's hand, being with that tape around his arm, tight, because he was in car accident. They actually didn't want to do that, I think that Robert Orci or Aaron Kruger wrote that accident in the film. But yeah, the action sequences are not better than the first movie. They're still good. That CGI, from the first movie, which actually was by General Motors, and of course made by, I think was still the one, the animators they're really good, for Megatron, and for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, and for the Fallen, the really great animators, effects, Industrial Light and Magic, ILM animators did a good job, General Motors, they did now the Autobots more colored than the first movie. And also Hasbro, which is based on them, they actually both went, and they both they were more attached to this movie, than the first movie. They're more attached. Michael Bay did a good job directing this film. Megan Fox, this is the last movie. This is the last time she plays and reprises her role as Michaela Baines. She did a good job. She was hot, awesome. She was the last time. She also doesn't have that much the logo, which is good, I'm glad that she doesn't speak that much. She isn't annoying, I like her in the first movie, but in this movie she's kind of better. She's more grown, she's more better, she's more mature. She did a really good job, and she doesn't have that much dialogue like she had in the first movie, and she's not annoying, And I really enjoy this film. I really like this film, So yeah, also Seymour, John Turturro, Seymour Simmons was awesome, fantastic. I enjoyed the guy. The guy who was Ramon Rodriguez Leo, he was annoying, but he was okay. I didn't mind him. Isabel Lucas as Alice did a good job as a female cyborg Terminator, tries to kill Sam and Michaela, his girlfriend, and Leo. She did a good job. John Benjamin Hickey as an asshole, just like Tyrese Gibson calls him, did a good job. Calloway, Michael Papo John, he played Carl Baines, Michaela's father. He has one scene in the film, which is awesome. Tyrese Gibson and Josh Duhamel, both as Robert Aves, U.S. Air Force, Master Sergeant and William Lennox as Army Special Forces Major. They both returned from the first movie. It was awesome to see them once again in action. They did a good job, both of them. John Turturro was awesome. I love the guy. Also Glenn Morshower, he was also in the first movie, a General Morshower. He was in 24, he did a good job. Supervisor Nest, he did a good job. Tony Todd was the voice of the Fallen. Candyman, he was the voice, and of course from Final Destination, he had a voice as the Fallen. Frank Walker was now he took the voices of Sound Wave and Devastator. Frank Walker was in the sequels. Hugo Weaving returns as the voice of Megatron. Love Hugo Weaving to death. Max Ryan was Jetfire. He was the former Decepticon turned Autobot Seeker. Jetfire was the one that teleported Sam, Michaela, Leo, and Simmons to Egypt. He was the one. I like the plot, yeah. So the cast, in my opinion, they work well. Shooting took place between May and September back in 2008. Was released in June 22 in Los Angeles Film Festival, but was released in the United States everywhere 24 June. The budget for this movie cost $200 million. It was actually more. It was more expensive than the first movie. The first movie was $150 million. They actually, but they made worldwide $836 million. Even surpasses the first movie. Even though it was a critical pen, this film, it actually surpassed the first movie. So it earned more money than the first movie, because the first movie, the first movie cost $150 million. This cost $200 million. And in the worldwide, it made $709 million in the first movie. This movie made even more money than the first. That's why it was financially successful movie, $836 million. And the first movie, because Michael Bay, he cut 30% of the fee, so that he left so that the movie was filmed in the United States, which cost less than when the second movie. This movie, the shooting was in Egypt, Jordan, Petra, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, California, and air bases were filmed in New Mexico and Arizona. It cost more money than the first movie, because this was $200 million. And they also filmed in Jordan, Petra. That was the film locations. They actually filmed Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade back in 1989. No, the filmmakers and the cast and the crew, they did not film the caves, just like the cast and the crew did Indiana Jones 3 and The Last Crusade, but they actually filmed in Egypt, in Jordan, Petra. And of course, actor John Turturro was allowed to climb up the pyramids, which you can see he did climb up. He was allowed, and of course, he actually was allowed, to climb the pyramids during the filming in Egypt. And at one point he simply broke down with crying, when Michael Bay asked him why. He said this is actually how often you can see that you can climb up, the pyramids of 4,000 years old. He really enjoyed, John Turturro really enjoyed working on this movie. Like I said, he burst with tears that he was actually climbing up the pyramids, and he did nothing but respect. John Turturro was awesome. He in my opinion, he respected this movie and the filmmaking, and he did a fantastic job, as Agent Simmons, this great former agent who saves everyone. He saves the Fallen. He saves, he goes and says, fire those rockets on this evil monster. They do, they fire, they obey him. He's awesome, this movie. The The college scenes were shot at both the University of Pennsylvania and the Princeton University, both schools, but in the movie they're not mentioned because both the schools, felt that Judy Witwicky's scenes were damaging to their image, the way how the actress Judy White, how the actress Julie White, Julie White, how Julie White, acts, how Julie White acts, I forgot Julie White, how Judy Witwicky acts, and how the actress Julie White, acts as Judy, and they thought the image was actually damaging to their schools. So I think that both schools did not allow Michael Bay and the filmmakers to mention their schools, so they didn't. But I really had fun with this film, I always like this film. It took 140 telebytes to process CGI for all the robots in this film. That was awesome. That was cool. Like I said, this is the last film the series star Megan Fox was in this movie, and the last film the series to be produced by DreamWorks Pictures, leaving Paramount Pictures as the sole distributor in these future sequels. I'll actually get more in the third movie why Megan Fox was not cast in the third movie, because I want to talk about her performance, because this movie, she's awesome. She was beautiful. She was awesome. Hasbro became more involved in the science of the robots than the company was for the first film. Also, Michael Bay used a real F-16 fighting Falcon and tank fire when filming the battles. Revenge of the Fallen featured 64 robots, which is cool. Original movie had 14 robots, and this movie is there actually 46, which was also cool. So that was also awesome. Also, I'm gonna show you now which I went to the plot, the facts, the cast, my favorite scene, which I really like this film. The first one I love to death. I like this film a lot. So this is I have two disc special edition, which the back, which I have 2 discs. I'll show you the disc, which is the movie. This is the movie and special features. This is only special features. Never seen special features, but I will wrote you down. The back. The disc 1 has commentary by director Michael Bay and writers Robert Orci and Alex Kurtzman. Disc 2, The Human Factor, Exacting Revenge of the Fallen, which is writing down the exacting making of the commentary, takes you to the shot on the Great Pyramids for a behind-the-scenes look. Discover the secrets of the film's visual special effects with the unprecedented military access. Special effects and for the robots are awesome. CGI are awesome. This movie and action sequences, in my opinion. Deconstructed visual mayhem. Multi-angle stunts were created. Nest Transformer Data Cube SD. Get to know 12 of the film's Transformer inside and out. You have access to their confidential files, each loaded with an innovative 3D spin gallery, as well as a timeline charting each Transformer origin, backstory, and the design evolution, and much more. You also have Blu-ray exclusive, the Allspark experiment, and unleash the power of the recently recovered Allspark shard. Begin by choosing a vehicle and customing it with a selection of parts and accessories, then applied all spark to your creation, you might unlock a secret about the future Transformers. So yeah, so that's the back, So I'll show you a little bit of the back, Yeah, I also forgot to mention Optimus Prime uses a gun, and shoots one of the Decepticons, kills them in the open scene. The open scene, which is set in Shanghai, did a good job. I mean, they really did. I mean, Michael Bay really did a good job, I always have liked this film. I watched it last night. I don't regret it. But yeah, that's my movie review on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the sequel to the first one. I really like this film. I hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe, and share this video. And I hope you enjoy this review. Anyway, have a good day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next movie review. That's going to be Transformers Dark of the Moon, which is my second favorite of the Transformers movies. So I'm out. Peace. See ya.